Polaris is worth every penny, and that's primarily because it doesn't cost very many pennies in the first place, and that leads to two really interesting conversations. One being how much this game costs, and the other being how much should we expect from our video games. When this game costs as much as a cinema ticket, how much time can you expect out of it? But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump straight into a game and start talking about what is actually inside Polaris and what it actually is. Because my expectation is not many of you have heard of it. One of the things this game has going for it is this Create Friends lobby, where you can jump in here, and as soon as you press this button, your friends on Steam, if they are in the game, can jump straight into your lobby. You don't have to send any invites out, nothing. It's really, really nice. But I can't find a way of just making a single player lobby apart from starting it before anyone joins it in the outside world. There's no way of adding a code to it or password or set it to private. Not 100% sure. So we're going to have to just hope that no one joins the game as we play through. So the first thing you got is you got join online lobbies, create a lobby, or host for friends, and equipment. So we're going to just create an online open lobby, and out of this lobby setup, you have a series of maps, 2 game modes, and a series of different difficulties. Now this game is structured into a similar way as a Helldivers or an EDF, that kind of objective game mode where you buy equipment and then you fight the bad guys and hopefully win. So it's not a complicated formula, but at £8.50, this game is incredibly enjoyable for you and a bunch of mates to just chill out and play in for a few hours. And I think that's the standout thing about this game. Nothing this game does is game changing, but at £8.50, it's just a lot of fun. Here we have up to 15 difficulty levels, and you have to play these incrementally, so you can't get to 15 without beating 14, without beating 13, without beating 12, and so on and so forth. We streamed this game the other night, and we went through and we beat every single level on every single map, and ground out some currencies and stuff, which we'll get onto a bit. You have 2 game modes. You have Gunship Assault, which is you have to destroy a gunship, and you have Devastation. One of the other things, it does have a sandbox mode as well if you want to explore the maps and hang out with friends. Personally, not my thing whatsoever, but if you like it, the game has it. And then you have across a series of different maps, all of which are quite nice and interesting. If you want to grind out equipment, the Desert Canyon's probably the best one to do it. Now onto equipment, you have a shop from weapons, vehicles, payloads, and items. Payloads and items are already unlocked for you by default. So the little currency icon up here, the boxes, this is how much it is to buy in a session. The little red box with the hexagon icon is how much it is to buy outside of your session. So every time you level up, you'll gain currency, and this currency can be used to purchase more equipment, more weapons, more vehicles. So I've unlocked a few things here, and you'll have access to everything you have purchased inside the game. And then you've got a percentage unlock here. So if you like unlocking everything in a game, that's quite fun, then you'll probably have a good time with this. Just spend a few hours going through and collecting all the currencies and collecting all the equipment and vehicles in the game. But that is your progression right here. Play a game, level up, buy the next vehicle or weapon you want, go into another game, level up, and that's the sort of like progression of this game. It's quite simple, but it does give you something to target for. So that is quite nice. Like, quite frankly, when you've got something called a Vulcan minigun, yeah, you kind of want to buy it. So I think that's fair enough. So we've talked about the game modes, the level selection, but I think we need to actually get into a game to actually play it properly and show you what this game is all about. We're going to start difficult level 1. We're going to go for Gunship Assault, and we're probably going to go for Floating Islands, because quite honestly, I love some floating islands. So let's hit start and get into the game. And one thing you'll notice straight away is the aesthetic of the game. It reminds me of like a late to early to late 90s aesthetic for video games. sort of mecha pilots and stuff like that. It gives me serious vibes of a Fury 3, which I used to play a lot when I was a kid. And you see here, this is something teleporting in, so it's probably going to be a big ship. Blow up some trees here. Clear our visual as we watch this thing teleport in. There we go. And that is the gunship, fully shielded, that we have to kill. So, what do we have to do here? After that slightly long drop animation, I will say, I wish there was a way of speeding that up and getting through. We will go through, and your idea is to blow this up. So we've got to kill its shield generators and then blow it up. Around the map, there are a series of these valuable items that will give you currency. In the top right-hand corner, when you collect these items or kill enemies, you will then gain currency, and that currency can be used to purchase the equipment that we showed you earlier. I do love how insane the look of blowing up trees is. It's just so over the top, and I do think it kind of adds to the charm. Now, because we're on level 1, there's not going to be a lot of enemies. They're not going to be very difficult. But one of the things I did see when I was playing this game on stream the other night is the difficulty seems to be built around numbers of enemies and not necessarily HP or damage on enemies. It'll just swarm you with loads at higher difficulties. And I actually really like that. I think it's a really, really good idea. One of the things the developers have come out and said is they're quite proud of is the amount of stuff in this game that is just absolutely destructible. So you see here, the terrain, fully destructible. Buildings, fully destructible. Enemy vessels, fully destructible. There are very, very few things in this game that are destructible. One of them being your base of operations. And I think the other being like the gates, speed up gates that are around the map. But it does feel quite good to just blow shit up. The other thing is, like, weapons in this game shoot as fast as you can click them. So what we're going to do is, now we've got a bit of currency, I'm going to call in a assault rifle. Actually, we're not going to call in that. Oh, we've got a silverback here shooting me. A couple of different enemy types here. All of them air vehicles. So we've got silverback, which is like kind of a dropship kind of thing. Just got more guns, more health, more shields. There's different weapons in the game that can deal better with shields, and some deal better with standard health bars, I believe. So we're going to drop in my anti-armor rifle here. And then the other thing we're going to drop in is the grav boots, which are like your movement staple. There we go. All right. Quickly get my anti-armor rifle. You see the amount of shield damage I'm doing there is actually quite little. Use my Sonic. Sonic doesn't do a lot either. So we can just spam this out. And then as soon as I get rid of that shield, this weapon does a lot of damage to the actual armor of the vehicle. Here, we're going to grab another package, our grav boots, which are going to give us the ability to fly. And essentially, after we get rid of the tree, essentially you become Iron Man at this point. And it's quite quick. Getting equipment is really quick. And it's one of the conversations we had on stream the other night, which was, this game's fast. Things die fast. You die fast. Collecting items is fast. Dropping in stuff is fast. You earn currency to get more equipment fast. And I think that's one of the things that makes this feel so good. It doesn't overstay its welcome. We talked about maybe does the game need a currency rebalance on stream because things are so easy to get, and honestly the gunships are so easy to kill, which I will show you in a minute. But actually we decided no, it doesn't, because being able to demolish stuff in this game so quickly is part of the fun. And I think that's a real strong point. Oh, we're getting absolutely hammered here from the guns on that gunship. So what we got to do here is we've got to get to that shield generator, and we've got to take it out. When we've taken out the shield generator, we can then damage the actual gunship as well. The actual gunship itself. So, using my rifle here. Get rid of the shield generator. Again, very easy. This is difficulty 1, so it's going to be very, very easy. Now the shields are down on that, and we're going to call in a little bit of a friend. And we get to our map view, which is all in real time, which I absolutely love. And we're going to call in a few orbital lasers. Because another thing the game does, that completely missed. There we go. One of those and one of those. And one of the things the game does is it doesn't stop you just calling in multiple things time after time after time. And there we go, the gunship's dead. So when you know what you're doing, the game is quite easy. And I think that's probably a bad point on it. But that's part of the fun that I don't want them to like patch out, is how fast things are to deal with. Like, orbital lasers should be that strong. It's an orbital laser. So, do you really want to nerf an orbital laser or make it more expensive? Maybe a bit more expensive, but again, the speed of the game is part of the charm. It's part of the fun. But what we're going to do here is we now got to extract from the level itself. So I'm going to show you another bit of equipment we've got here. So we can go and let's just grab a normal dagger. That's going to drop in here. So there isn't a lot to this game. It's working through the levels. It's buying the equipment. It's leveling up so you can unlock more equipment. And if this was priced at a different price point, I would be absolutely scrutinizing this game. I'd be like, this is not acceptable for a release, a full release of a video game. But it's £8.50. And Kimbo said something where it's really like solidified it for me. It's as much as a cinema ticket. This is one of the jets of the game. So there's a series of different vehicles, different types of jets. You've got a hover mode. And you've got a jet mode, which I absolutely love. And they do some decent amount of damage, which is quite nice. You also see them littered around their level as well, which is nice. So we can leave the jet now and we can get into the extraction phase of the mission. But yeah, it's like, it's £8.50 or your regional equivalent. And it's, do you want more from a game that is £8.50? Do you need more from a game that's £8.50? If you're willing to spend money on a cinema ticket, then should a game that costs you a cinema ticket be any less value when it comes down to your time spent? We've summoned in some turrets here, some sentinels that are going to help protect us as we wait for this extraction to finish. And I don't think it should. I think £8.50 for a cinema ticket is probably a little bit much, but it's certainly more expensive than it was when I was a kid. But it's fine. You can sit down, you can enjoy a film, and you can have a good time or a bad time, depending on the film. But when it comes down to a video game, this was really good fun for 3 or 4 hours with my mates. We all had an absolute blast. We jumped in, we bought some outlandish weapons, we laser barraged some drop ships, we gained some levels, we unlocked some guns we thought sounded cool. Hey, what's wrong with that? For £8.50, that sounds like a really, really good evening, just like an evening at the cinema. And then my wife actually said something that added a little bit to that, which is you also own this forever. Well, for as long as Steam's up anyway. So you can always go back to it. If you feel like you just want to chill out and kill some things and unlock some more bits and pieces, then hey, you can do. And what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that. So I actually think for £8.50, this game is absolutely fantastic. We're going to jump into another game mode. We're going to have a look at the Devastators. I do have a few criticisms with the game, though. Even though it's £8.50 and it's still a fantastic like value proposition, I think the UI is very white. As someone who's partially colorblind, this is problematic to see what's going on. I have never liked the idea of having keyboard shortcuts on the screen at all time. Not a fan of that. There you go. There's a Devastator. Look at the bad boy. And with everything being destructible, they will just churn through the ground. And it is sick to watch. Oh, here we go. On cue. And you've got to now go into that hole and you've got to chase that guy. Oh, I'm getting distracted. Right. If you do need a safe space for yourself, then you start off with a normal pistol and then a sonic pistol as well. Sonic weapons being very, very good at eating through terrain. Make yourself some safe spaces. Got to build up some financial reserves so that we can get our gravity boots and a better gun. And then after that point, you're pretty much set. I feel like when you've got gravity boots, there's not a lot that can chase you. So you're pretty fine. You're most vulnerable at the start of the game when you're being swarmed, especially on higher difficulties. There we go. And then we're going to look for some boxes that might be around as well, just to see if we can get some extra currency, or maybe potentially get lucky and get a grav boots in a box that are lying around the map. When we started playing this game, one of the very first things I started talking about was what needs to be added to this game to make it really great, because I think this is a fantastic base to a £20 or £30 product. And I really started talking about, oh man, it's missing this, it's missing that. I would like to see more equipment. I would like to see a slightly better economy. And then it's when this conversation got brought up, when, hey dude, it's the price of a cinema ticket. And I was like, actually, yeah, it's a price of a cinema ticket. So does it need anything else? No, I don't think it does. I think it's a really, really enjoyable evening with your friends. Now, could it become something else? Yes. I think what they have here is a perfect starting point for refinement when it comes down to quality of life, the UI, that kind of thing. I think the graphic style is really cool. It reminds me of like comic book. I never watched G.I. Joe, but like if in England, if you remember Action Man, reminds me of that. Get rid of this silverback. But if you wanted to have a really good fun evening right now, go grab a few mates or just a couple of mates and say, hey, do you want to destroy some giant worms? Because actually, it's great for that. So yeah, one of the things I was talking about was, what does this game need to become an absolute banger? Better economy, slightly more progression, character customization got brought up. And I think all those things are valid. But at £8.50, I also don't think it needs it. I think more difficulty options might be good. But again, why? At £8.50, why? Can you not just have a nice game? A fun evening with friends? Why does a game need to last you a week or two? Or in some cases, months? Why can't a game just last an evening with mates, like a movie? I think it's an interesting proposition. I think it's an interesting conversation. And I think this game is a perfect idea of it, because quite frankly, it offers so much. This here is the thing I spent probably an hour saving up for in game. One of the later ships in the game, and quite a lot of fun. Got 2 weapons, got a railgun and an arc emitter, something to take out shields. You can just see those worms shredding up terrain here, and it is great to watch. As you get through the higher difficulties, at like difficulty 15, there's like 3 worms. They're 10 times longer. Okay, 10 times is a bit of an exaggeration, but there's 3 worms. They're all quite a bit longer. And you do have to start thinking a little bit about strategy. Hey, boys, can we group up a little bit and help each other out? Ooh. Crashed into him. Oh, he's just about to pop out of his hole here. But I don't think the difficulty is anything major. Let's boost. Go into our hover mode. Switch over to our railgun. There we go. And then one of the great things with this as well is it reloads while you are using a different weapon. So you constantly can keep firing. There's no downtime with it whatsoever. And it feels really, really good. And I think that adds to that aspect of speed of the game. The game doesn't overstay its welcome. It's quick. When you have a strategy, the strategy is going to work pretty much all the time. There we go. Oh, wait. I'm going to get stuck in it. One thing we can see here is the giant hole that is left. Because when these vessels, either a worm or the gunships die, they explode in massive explosions that can take out whole city blocks, whole forests, whole slices of terrain. And it does look really cool, again, feeding into that aspect of the game of 99.9% of stuff is destructible. Right, now we've got to extract. So yeah, is there things this game could improve? Yes. Is it lacking in features? If it was 40 quid, yes. If it was a Helldivers, yes. But as it is, does it need any of that? No, I don't think it does. I really don't. I think it's a great evening game to have with some friends. Hey boys, I don't know what to play. What do you want to play? Hey, I know this game called Polaris. I saw it on the internet. It's meant to be dumb fun for an evening. Do you want to try it out? Hell yes. One of the things I do adore in this game is the map. If you watched a few of my videos, you know I'm a big man for maps. This is a real-time map. You can see here where the Devastator destroyed, and you've got the terrain deformation here. You can see here our drop pod vessel, whatever you want to call it, the cities around the map. You can see the devastation of some of the areas that I've been and fighting in. All the trees have disappeared. Let's get rid of this. There we go. And I absolutely adore the map. I think it's a fantastic addition to the game. I don't think anything needs to change with the map. Maybe you need to zoom in a little bit more would be nice. It remembers your zoom in. So if I've zoomed in like this, and then I press M and then M again, it actually remembers how far you've zoomed in the first place. And the ability to buy equipment in third-person mode would be really nice, because I feel like sometimes doesn't zoom in enough to get the item exactly where you want it to land. And a third-person mode to say, hey, just drop it here would be really cool. Or that, or the camera zooms in a lot more. I think either one of those would be a great addition. But again, it's £8.50. It's just a good laugh with your mates. Everything feels good enough. Everything feels fine. Do the guns sound incredible? No. Do the models look brilliant? No, they're not world class. They're fine. This AR scope looks funky, but it's fine because it's £8.50 and it is good fun with friends. Now, if they were willing to add additional bits to the game, which they have done since launch, they have added more bits, but it is full release, so I'm not expecting any more updates. But if they did add more stuff, then that would be absolutely fantastic. And it'd just be more of a reason to come back and play. Jump in, go around the map, find some loot boxes, collect some valuables, level up, unlock some guns, unlock some vehicles, blow up some gunships, drop a singularity on a city just for the hell of it. I would like to see a full city map, though. That would be really cool. That would be pretty sick in my eyes. But yeah, that's Polaris. I think the only other thing to say is the settings menu does need some work. In the options menus, you've got inputs, fully rebindable. You've got 2 different keys for each bind. Perfect. Brilliant. Absolute phenomenal. This is fantastic. There are AAA devs that need to learn this level of key binding. The general settings are lacking though. Audio is music and sound effects. It's not grouped up into one, so you get brownie points for not having just master volume, but a few more would be nice. The game also doesn't have a lot of sound assets though, so these 2 are fine. Windowed mode, full screen, and also borderless. Full screen, windowed mode, and windowed. The windowed full screen is basically borderless windowed mode. Resolution options, 16:9, VSync on or off, frame rate limiter. This does do a funny thing. Yeah, so when you're going through frame rates, it starts off at 30, 60, 120, 40, 60, 65, 80, 200, 140, 360. And that made me chuckle. I don't know if this is in between 120 and 360, if it's just a typo or what, or it's actually that 140 FPS is put in the wrong spot. But that's quite funny. One of the things is this bar at the bottom where you can hover over. You can click the bar, the actual specific node on the bar. That's fantastic. Also telling you how many options you have here. Some AAA games don't do this. This is fantastic. I want to see more of this in video games. The graphics settings are extremely limited. It does need to have expanded graphics settings, in my opinion. I also would like it if like graphics settings were along the tabs along the top. Display settings, graphics settings, audio, or display settings. Stops you from having this giant, big, long list of stuff. But having shadow quality, texture quality, again, being able to click which one you want from this little menu, these little nodes here, fantastic. Really like that. 3D resolution scaling, that's fine as well. Anti-aliasing and super resolution. Normally when you have if it is a DLSS, I have no idea. I don't know what AA this game supports. I don't know what is super resolution FSR. Is it DLSS? I have no idea. It is just low, medium, high, and epic. And it runs absolutely fine as a game that looks like this should run fine. I don't want to say the game looks bad because I actually love the art style. But a game that looks like this shouldn't run badly. And it doesn't. It runs absolutely flawlessly in my experience. It's worth noting, Viper did have an issue where his GPU would spike up to 100% randomly and the game crashed. It was a thing where he needed to watch out. He needed to watch his GPU a little bit. I watched mine as well, absolutely fine. We had people on 20 series cards to 40 series cards. Not many issues apart from the 3070 Ti. I think his card is a 3070 Ti. Is the one that had issues there. But I don't think it was like a performance related issue. There might be a bug in the back end somewhere. The other bug we ran into actually was a friend of mine bought a aircraft, and when he purchased that aircraft, tried repeating this 4 or 5 times on stream, he would actually end up with a different basic aircraft. It wouldn't give him the aircraft he bought. So might need to look into that as well. But genuinely, I had a very, very smooth time with it. And apart from expanding graphics options, it's got sensitivity. It's got different sensitivity to different types of vehicles. It's got different modes of sensitivity. It's got shakes and distortion if you want to turn those off, which I normally would. But I also don't think they're that big of a deal to actually turn it off. So I think it's fine. So, but once again, 15 levels, 2 to 3 hours, potentially even more if you want to collect all the weapons, across 2 game modes and a sandbox mode, across a series of different maps. Just having dumb, quick, fast fun with your friends, it's £8.50. And I know I keep saying it, but it's £8.50. So this is Polaris. If you like this video, hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you again later on.